Welcome back, my name is ESO and today we're taking a look at a hidden gem of a game based in an open world post-apocalyptic setting. This is a new first-person shooter MMO survival game called Pioner, and it's being developed by a small indie games company called GFA Games using the Unreal Engine 4. And yes, it looks incredible. We have lots of new information about the gameplay beyond what we see in this trailer, and also about the release date, including a new interview. So if that sounds good, subscribe to stay up to date with Pioneer as we get closer towards launch. But if, like me, you're excited for Fallout 5 or Stalker 2, this is also a game you're going to want to keep an eye on because it's set for a release date either late this year in 2021 or early in 2022. And it's actually very far along in development already, as I'm about to explain to you guys. Before we delve into the gameplay you can expect though, let me explain to you what Pioneer is about. You'll be playing as a former operative who survives a technological disaster, much like Chernobyl, but in Pioneer, you're stuck on a Soviet island, isolated from the mainland by a large-scale technogenetic anomaly. That may be the reason for all the mutated creatures on this island. The game will have a key focus on survival and exploration. On this island, you'll have two primary objectives. Firstly, to find and rescue your comrades, and secondly, to investigate and explore the secret underground Soviet factories, ancient machinery, labs, abandoned, now derelict settlements that are now inhabited by vermin and mutants that you must survive. The main story itself is actually to find the secret of this Soviet island. And according to an interview with the developer of GFA Games and OP Attack, the main quest alone will take the player 15 hours on average to complete at the moment. Which gives you an idea from that and the gameplay you're seeing on screen just how far this game is already into development. But there's not just one definitive ending to this game. It actually has 4 different factions that you can join, and each one of them has their own aims and ambitions and faction quest lines, and during these quest lines you'll be able to make decisions that can actually change and alter the ending of the game, or even the situation of that faction in that area of the map. Now, the open world environment of this Soviet island is also affected by the time of day. In the world of Pioneer, mutants and wild animals are very active during the day, while the most dangerous creature of the game, the Leshy, goes out to hunt players exclusively at nighttime. This reminds me a little bit of how Dying Light would change from night to day. The zombies would become much more aggressive, and you'd have elite super zombies chasing you down throughout the world. Obviously, non-player characters will also have their routines based on if it's daytime or nighttime. Now, beyond the main storyline, the majority of this game is focused on open world exploration of this abandoned Soviet island that you're isolated on. But will obviously also include that main story, the faction missions, and raids. You can take part in all of these activities with other players in co-op. But it's also up to you if you want to experience these vast open areas with strangers or with your friends, or even uncover the story of this island completely solo on your own in a single player like experience. Now, you may be wondering where the MMO aspect of this game comes into play, and I'll talk about the player versus player in a moment as well. But we also have raids, where a group of players can take on deadly enemies and bosses in organized parties. And these raids will take place in separately instanced environments that are much more linear than the rest of the open world, as you might expect if you've played a MMO before with dungeons. It sounds like it's going to be a similar experience. As for the player versus player, Pioneer will feature special areas called empty lands, which are scattered throughout the island. These are part of the open world environment still, so you kind of need to be careful that you don't just stumble into them, because in these empty lands you will find rarer, more valuable resources and also more dangerous secrets of the Soviet military weapons and gear to customize your loadout. So you're definitely going to want to venture in to the empty lands at some point on your playthrough. But this rarer, more valuable loot is also protected by more deadly creatures that you'll probably need backup to handle. The catch is that the empty lands are also a open player versus player area where you can team up with other survivors to kill and loot these more dangerous mutants, or you can come across other teams of players or even be betrayed by the people that you thought you were on the same team as. It reminds me a little bit of the wilderness in RuneScape, where anyone could be out to betray you. Right now, we don't know for certain if you can lose all of your items if another player kills you in the empty lands, but it's been alluded to during the interview that the developers are in favor of motivated PvP, such as a shootout for killing a boss or gaining control over a specific territory that one group might want to loot. This to me sounds like you will be battling against other players so you can loot the boss, which is where all that valuable loot is to be found, and not so much loot other players for all of their gear. However, that is still yet to be confirmed. Let me know in the comments what your perspective is on player versus player in this sort of game. How hardcore do you think it should be? Should you lose all your items if you go into these areas? That brings me on to my next point though. How does the character progression actually work in Pioneer? Well, it's actually quite different to other MMO games you may be familiar with. Instead of the normal player experience and, reaching level cap, you actually have influence levels. So your influence level does not affect your character's stats or improve your combat abilities at all. It's entirely separate. Instead, the level of your influence will provide access to new weapon suppliers and new quest givers that will reward you with more valuable items. So your influence level basically gatekeeps you from getting that more valuable higher level loot. And as you might expect, you can gain influence levels in a variety of ways, such as questing, trading, and smuggling, essentially just doing the game objectives. Now this system sounds interesting. It sounds like the only advantage other players may have over you is better equipment, but not necessarily better health or stats. So it may be the case that skill and landing a few well-placed headshots on a player who has better gear than you will still allow you to contest things in PvP, as opposed to other MMOs where it's all about your stats and how much you've grinded the levels. But we don't know for sure. The weapon customization is a huge part of this game though. You can drastically change your weapon performance based on what attachments you add to fulfill whatever playstyle or goals you want to go for. You can create and loot new attachments for your weapons and even craft attachments and weapons completely from scratch using a workbench. I love the amount of customizability we're seeing here. It does remind me of the Metro franchise and also how you could customize your weapons in Fallout 4. And we're seeing a whole range of jury-rigged weapons in the trailer, from silenced pistols to melee weapons thrown together with a cutting saw or even a shotgun. We also get a detailed look at the customizable options, including the stock, which I assume affects the accuracy, and the scope, which looks like a tin can with optical glass. We also have the magazine, which as you can see has a size to it as well, holding 42 bullets in total. This seems to be some kind of submachine gun, and the barrel of the weapon can be customized with a grip as well. This to me is really exciting to see. We also get to see this non-invasive Fallout Pip-Boy inspired menu, where you can see the settings and the map and the options here, which is obviously a lot more immersive than having like an actual menu pop up. But not going to lie to you guys, I'm interested to see some actual gameplay and multiplayer gameplay. Is the game going to look this good and run this smoothly with multiple people on screen? Because it almost looks too good to be true. Like when they say MMO, I'm looking around and thinking, okay, how many people will be playing this at once? It does remind me of the new Stalker game we looked at last month, and also Chernobylite, which I covered a few months back and did a let's play of. while it was in early access. But with the MMO aspects, it sounds really compelling and like the developers are really trying to set out and accomplish something a little bit different here. And it's coming out really soon. I did actually check and I can see that the game has been in development for at least 4 years now. And since it was also confirmed that the main story is at least 15 hours long currently, things are clearly very far along in the pipeline. And now I just really want to jump in and show you guys some completely uncut gameplay so you guys can see what it's actually like to play and experience. From the trailer and gameplay we've seen so far, it looks incredible and very promising. And it was put together by a small Russian indie team with 25 people. Apparently they are growing the size of the team right now, but if you want to show them some support, do drop a like on the video and leave a comment below with what you think about this so far. I'm keen to get some more information for you guys, so subscribe for the next one, and I'll see you there. Have a lovely day and goodbye.